James Harden is set to make his much anticipated home debut in front of a sold-out crowd at the Wells Fargo Center. Cannot wait for tonight's game against the New York Knicks. If you're with me and you're pumped up to see Harden in a Sixers jersey in South Philly, hit that thumbs up icon, like the video, and let's dive into the Sixers news and rumors. You're watching Philadelphia 76ers Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Senior. We start off today's show with talking about Tyrese Maxey and the fact that his development this year has been a great story for the Philadelphia 76ers. In the last two games, he has been terrific playing alongside James Harden as a two guard, going off that point guard role that he played masterfully with Ben Simmons out of the lineup. 2 games alongside Harden, Maxey has been going off, showing up, and showing out. 24.5 points per game. He's shooting nearly 67% from the floor. I wish it was 69%, but we'll settle for 66.7. 62.5% from long range. And this is what is crazy about Tyrese Maxey playing with James Harden. We thought, okay, Harden is so ball dominant. The offense is going to go through Harden as well as Joel Embiid. Maxey, the last 2 games, has had so many open shot looks and opportunities. 15 field goal attempts in those 2 games. Now, I'm not sure that's sustainable. Defenses along the way are going to adjust, but this is really a great sign for Philadelphia and Tyrese Maxey. And the fact that Daryl Morey got James Harden by trading away Ben Simmons, Andre Drummond, the 2 first-round picks, and Seth Curry, without dealing away Maxey as well as Matisse Thybulle. That alone makes this James Harden acquisition a win for Philadelphia, and we don't even know when Ben Simmons is going to make his debut with the Brooklyn Nets. Doc Rivers was asked about his sophomore guard and why and how he's been playing well alongside the Beard. He said this: he's back home when you think about it. He's actually playing the position now that he's played his entire life. So in some ways, he's very comfortable playing the way that he's playing. And this is something that we talked about on Sunday after that win at the Mecca, in which James Harden turned Madison Square Garden into Madison Square Harden. It was the fact that Maxey was flourishing in that 2-guard role, and that's what he did at Kentucky. Him and Emmanuel quickly would switch between playing point guard and shooting guard. So Maxey's really comfortable in doing that and playing AAU ball during his upbringing. He played a lot of off-ball as well, and you've seen him be very comfortable in that role. So this is a great development for the present right now because you have James Harden on the team, and hopefully Harden continues to play at a prime rate and continues to play with the Sixers for a couple of years to come. But Tyrese Maxey is a franchise building block. So the fact that he's playing like this now, it's good, obviously, and bodes really well for the current moment, but also in the future as well as the Sixers continue to develop and if Harden signs that contract extension with the Sixers. Speaking of tonight's game against the New York Knicks, a little home and home with a couple of off days in between. Harden's over-under for points scored, 23.5. He's gone over that figure against the T-Wolves in his first game and against the Knicks in his second game. I'm smashing the over. What do you think, though? Does he go over or under that point total? Type O for over, U for under. He's playing in front of the Philadelphia faithful. He said the other night that the crowd is going to get turned. It will, so that's why I think he's going to surpass that total. Now, Philadelphia 76ers Now, it is straight up humming. One of our fastest growing channels here at Chat Sports, despite what some of the haters say. And the other day, we were able to surpass New York Knicks Now and get to 5,000 subscribers. Last day, we picked up another 100 subscribers. Next up, overtaking Boston Celtics today. Now, we have some work to do, 3,400 plus subs away, but I think we can get there over the next couple of months as we continue to churn out content and grow like crazy. So if you want the best Sixers coverage on YouTube, hit that red subscribe button down below and tell producer Jack Lauderay, who runs Celtics Today, to suck it. Next up on the show, latest on DeAndre Jordan. We're kind of waiting for him to sign with the Philadelphia 76ers and trying to see if he is going to sign with the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, the other day, the Lakers had waived DJ to make room on the roster for DJ Augustine, and Adrian Wojnarowski had reported that the expectation is that the Sixers are going to be all in pursuing DeAndre Jordan because they need a backup center behind Joel Embiid. Here's the thing. That roster move for Philly has not happened yet, and are we waiting for a corresponding roster move to transpire, like maybe Willie Cauley-Stein's 10-day contract expiring so that the Sixers don't have to get rid of a player like Paul Millsap? Maybe they just let go of Willie Cauley-Stein once his 10-day expires. That then makes room for DJ on the roster. Frank Vogel, head coach of the Lakers, had some interesting things to say about DeAndre Jordan joining Philadelphia. He said he wanted to come to Philadelphia. Quote, "We wish DeAndre well. It's really just a need thing. He gets an opportunity to have a bigger role somewhere else, he felt. We granted that to him. We had the need for more point guard and shooting that we were able to pick up DJ Augustine." Now, if you are expecting DeAndre Jordan to come to Philadelphia and play like the Clippers' DeAndre Jordan, that is not going to be the case. You will be sadly mistaken. DJ is somewhat washed, and he's been washed the last couple of years. What can he still do well? Run the floor, give you a little bit of size and athleticism. He can still throw down some dunks off the PNR. 4 points per game this year, 5.5 rebounds, connected on about 67.5% of his field goals. So around the rim, he can make things happen offensively and defensively while also blocking shots. There's also this. He did play and flourish when Doc Rivers was the head coach of the Los Angeles Clippers, so Doc knows how to use him well. And there's also this element if DJ elects to sign with the Sixers and they decide to make that roster move. Playing alongside James Harden will allow him to play pretty well because James Harden has always played very well with bigs who set the pick, they roll to the cup, and because of James Harden's just knack for finding bigs off the pick and roll with alley-oops and passes, he always plays well with those types of bigs who flourish in that role. That's what DeAndre Jordan has been able to do well throughout his entire career. He's a good pick and roll man who can still jump, can still really climb the ladder and finish amongst the trees, as Mark Zumoff used to say, and that type of action allows him to cater to his strengths, which is also James Harden's strengths. And of course, when Joel Embiid goes off the floor, he's not a bad backup center or maybe even a third string center on this lineup. Who do you think needs more minutes? Who would you rather have on this roster? A twofold question for you here on the show because we're not one-way stiffs. Type W for Willie Cauley-Stein. Type D for DeAndre Jordan. Once again here at Chat Sports, we love hearing from you. Think of this as a sports radio call-in line. Except for you, it's the comment section here on YouTube. Get those votes in right now. James Harden jerseys are flying off the shelves like crazy prior to his debut at home with the Philadelphia 76ers. So if you can't get a James Harden jersey, why don't you just get this Allen Iverson early 2000s throwback from our friends at Fanatics and Mitchell & Ness. It's on sale today. Limited time only, leading up to tip-off. It was $130. We knocked it down to $97 because I called up Michael Rubin and I said, yo, James Harden jerseys aren't available. People can't get them until May. Can you cook up another deal for us? We have the deal for you. Chatsports.com/Iverson will take you to the promised land. I'll put that link in the comment section as well as the description of this video. After Sunday's masterful performance in which James Harden dropped that triple-double against the New York Knicks at Madison Square Garden, the Mecca, New York City, Sixers handing the Knicks the L, both on the floor and with subscribers, James Harden said, you know what? Kind of felt like a Philadelphia 76ers home game. Can't imagine what it's going to be like on Wednesday night. We'll see in front of a nationally televised audience on ESPN. Not only are we excited for James Harden's debut at home in front of the faithful, so too is Nick Sirianni at the NFL Combine, head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, just doing what he always does, pandering to the fan base and pandering to all of Philadelphia, rocking a Sixers hoodie. He actually hit me up via text and said, yo, Chase, I saw you were selling these Sixers hoodies back a couple months ago on 76ers Now. I tuned in because I care about you, I care about Philadelphia, and I had to cop one myself so that I could rock some Sixers gear and support the channel. Nick Sirianni, you're the GOAT. Thank you, my man. Harden's first 2 games in Philly, they were great. They were electric. They were phenomenal. Against Minnesota, 27, 8, and 12, while going 7 of 12 from the floor. And I think his game against the New York Knicks was one of the best games we've seen from a Sixers point guard in a really long time. 29 points, 10 boards, 16 dimes, 8 of 14 from the floor, and he was really playing the passing lanes well, showing some good instincts there. 5 steals, one of the most historic performances that we've seen in a long time from a Sixers point guard. So I think James Harden's going to continue to turn up and play very well against the Knicks once again in this home and home. Harden's impact, it has been so real. He's provided this team offensively with great floor spacing, so many open offensive opportunities, for Tyrese Maxey, some of the other shooters on this team, as well as Joel Embiid. His passing ability in transition, in the half court, coming off the pick and roll sets, truly is an elite quality. And I think he has begun to defer a little bit more. You saw this last year, this development with the Brooklyn Nets. It's continued with Philadelphia because he doesn't have to be the focal point of the offense as much as he was with the Houston Rockets. The two-man game with Embiid has been great. Embiid has never been in a position where he's thrown down dunks off the alley-oop, off the pick and roll, because he's never had a point guard who's done that. Ben Simmons, that wasn't really his game. It's Harden's game, and it's brought the best out of Joel Embiid. Harden as a whole has brought the best out of Tyrese Maxey, as evidenced by the numbers that we've shown you. And the Sixers' potential as a team is enormous. They have 2 of the top 15, 20 players in the NBA, depending on where you want to slot James Harden. Joel Embiid's a top 5 cat leader at the MVP race, but 2 top 15 players. Maxey's been balling out. I expect Tobias Harris to play better over time as a 4th option as he gets more acclimated with being in that role. So the Sixers as a squad, enormous potential. But the schedule over the next 5 games against teams like the Brooklyn Nets, Chicago Bulls, going to be pretty telling. Miami Heat as well, as far as how good the Sixers can be. Cleveland Cavaliers in the mix as well. Producer Jeremy helping me with that recall. Predict the score of tonight's game against the Knicks. That's your final duty on today's show. But also, hey, make sure you subscribe to support the channel. More subs equals more videos. Trying to catch Boston Celtics today. I think we're going to get there. Hey, Harden's debut at home tonight. Let's ride.